Hey guys, welcome back to Sip, Savor, and Celebrate. I'm Chris.
And I'm Devin, and we've got a
That's
wonderful
right.
conversation we're going to have today. But we have a couple special guests.
That's right. We have RJ. He is the man for the bourbons. What I'm being told. And then we've got Brad from Agave Love and Lore. Check out their channels. You got RJ the Fed. Because
Correct.
thank you
Yeah.
very much for your service too, and that for that.
Out of
And
Dallas, Fort Worth,
then
Texas.
Dallas Fort. I was just there literally over New Year's Day. I was there on New Year's Day. I was there. We flew in and then we flew out. Today's
We
conversation.
forgot Brad.
No, I said Brad.
Oh,
Well, God,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm here.
okay,
I
whatever.
said it. Yeah, his channel. He's on all the socials as well. Agave Love and Lore.
Yep.
Um, Today's conversation, like I just said, we just want to have a conversation about pricing, secondary market. How do we navigate this spirits world that we're in? There's a lot of things that of course we can talk about the secondary market pricing. Is it the people that just find a chance that they can make extra money? The fear of missing out, the FOMO. I am Chris. I am in that market, definitely.
I think we
um
need to talk about, some of these bottles that we're seeing up here,
yes.
because you've got what? A couple Pappies in front of me and a beautiful Weller. You've got some Fortaleza, 11 bricks, and
Lydia.
Lydia.
And check out the spread that Mr. RJ's got there as well.
Got
He
some
even brought out
Texas
his
whiskey, some
Fortaleza.
Garrison Brothers, and then
That's
a
right.
couple Buffalo Trace products, including the BTAC Thomas H. Handy, got a Fortaleza, and a Michter's 10-year rye.
There you go. And Brad, you got a nice spread behind you as well. We all know that.
That's just my open bottles. There's about 100. There's 150 of them. Just so you know, I counted the other day.
Did you?
Yeah,
That might
I
be
was
the
like, man, I got to get some of these going.
Isn't that cute? No, I think when I did our inventory before last year, so this has nothing to count for this year, we were at 556 bottles total before this year, 2024's purchases. So now we've
Oh,
just added more to that. Um, so we'll start with you, RJ. What are you seeing in the pricing market, and how are you navigating the market of pricing and a pappy that is $700 $1,000 when it's really not that price from the distillery? What are you navigating when it comes to bourbons?
So pricing is subjective. You have the suggested retail price, which is put out by the distillery before the distributor gets its hands on it and puts it in front of a store. They have a price that they're setting on it for their margin, and then you'll see it in a store. And for me being in Texas, I've probably got over 100 liquor stores within a 50-mile radius, maybe more, including big box stores like Total Wine, Specs, Goody Goody, $2. So with box stores being in the competition, you kind of got to play their game because that's going to be your best chance to even see one of these allocated bottles. This one I waited in line overnight for. I was 385th in line, and I got there at 7 p.m. the day before for the big specs drop. Now I picked up 14 bottles in one go, all allocated bottles. So we do have the luxury of that in Texas. But when it comes to pricing, would I wait overnight at 7 p.m. and be 385th in line, not knowing what I'm going to get if I knew the price was going to be well above MSRP? God, no. Everything that I got from that drop, all MSRP. Secondary stuff on what I'm willing to pay, you're gonna have to decide for yourself. That's why I actually put this on the table. I did trade for this. This is 179.99 MSRP bottle, and I essentially paid $400 for it in trade value of MSRP trades. Secondary trade value, I traded basically $500 worth of bourbon for it. So you kind of got to be selective on what you're willing to purchase, what you want to open, what you want to drink. Um, Otherwise, and I won't air out your business on how much money you spent last year,
No, I
but
spent $37,000 in 2023, but I
you'll
have
quickly overspend if you don't have a budget and you don't set margins and set guidelines and rules. So I have certain bottles that I like and I don't mind paying for, and I'll pay up for on some of them. but it's got to be in the mind. What's the max that I'm willing to pay for this, and never break that rule. If I saw that in store for 400, that Thomas H. Shandy, I probably wouldn't buy it. I'd probably pass.
Right. And that's kind of what I deal with as well. Like, okay, yeah, I could have had a pappy long ago if I was willing to pay $1,000, but I won't. And then it was Christmas, and then they had a couple of Christmas sales, and I'm like, okay, 650. Okay, I'll
You
buy
gotta
it.
set limits, though. You have to set limits.
And that's exactly what it is.
And that's ignoring secondary. I mean, it could be $1,000 secondary bottle, but if that's not your limit, then you're not buying it.
Right. No, and I agree. What about you, Brad?
Well, to me, the tequila world, it's I know a lot of store owners, bar owners, restaurant people, and it's interesting because we talk about the distilleries. Then with tequila, you got the import export part of the business, which adds a cost, and then there's taxes based on the alcohol percent, right? The higher that ABV, the higher that tax is. Well, it goes through all that, and then you get to the distributor giving it to a store, and I hear this all the time, especially from the smaller stores, not the larger stores, is the distributor, in order for them to get good bottles, limited release bottles, they'll have to sell a bunch of crap product that distributor has in order just to get a chance to have good bottles.
Correct.
Okay.
So a lot of smaller stores don't want them because they can't sell the volume of the other stuff no one wants that's going to sit on their shelves, which makes it very complex for business owners and liquor stores, as far I can only imagine.
And that happened with two of our purchases. One, I wanted to get and I have the Calle 23 Unique. I wanted to get a bottle of that, but to get the bottle of that, you had to buy two of the standard Blanco to get it. Thankfully, it wasn't that much money. I mean, altogether, I think it was like $130 for all three. So I'm like, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And that's the other thing you'll see, besides, when I talk to one of the guys I know who runs a store, they're like, oh, I have to carry 10 bottles of this stuff just to get one bottle of, this G4 or this whatever limited release. And then sometimes you see stores now where they're pairing stuff up, right? It's like, oh, if you want this bottle, you got to buy this bottle.
Yeah, the
and it's like the bundle thing I get, but like there's been a couple times where I'm like, why would you bundle these two things together? And it's obvious they're just trying to get rid of that other bottle,
right?
Just to get gone, because they have to hold inventory. Now, luckily
the Tierra de Ensueño, to get the Reposado, I had to buy another Blanco, which I don't mind because the Blanco was dang good.
Yeah, they're really good.
Good. So I wasn't mad about that either.
Fair priced.
And that's what, one of the stores I visit all the time, she's always like, I haven't seen anything allocated just because we don't hit the levels that they want, because, they want the fists that are 10, $20 and versus the actual bottles that you get 5 or 6 drinks out of.
Right.
So if they can spend, $5 on that fifth, that's, what the customers are wanting.
Well, let's talk about the states in which we live in. That plays a big part of it, because you both live in great states that allow for a special release to come out. They don't have to do too much to be able to import and sell, or in the case of bourbons for you, we just ship it from one state to another. You guys get a special release. But where we live in Michigan, it's extremely state controlled. It doesn't matter who makes it. They're willing to do it, but they have to go through the state first before it can put onto the shelf. And then the state gets a cut of it that way. But you guys are a little jealous, so you both get good options. Do you find any hiccups as far as that? Like, Brad, do you see any hiccups in your state, or?
Well, not really. I mean, I'm originally from Ohio, so I know what you mean with state control. It's terrible. Here in Illinois, and I live in northern Illinois, so I'm like 20 minutes away from Wisconsin and an hour or so away from Chicago. So, but even going into Wisconsin, a lot of times just going into Wisconsin, I don't find as much good stuff in a lot of areas, but it's always cheaper.
Oh, really?
I think the taxes are less in Wisconsin. And it's interesting how that works. I'll find a bottle of just something regular that I want to keep on my shelves, and it'll be like $5 cheaper everywhere I go in Wisconsin.
Okay. What about you, RJ? How about, do you see any issues with certain allocated bottles, or do you think like
Almost
tends
every
to?
allocated bottle has its problems here. This is a very, I would almost say, toxic environment when it comes to bourbon hunting or even
Really?
tequila hunting. We have big accounts that they'll run through hotels, bars, and businesses. So someone who has the relationship is going to get the allocated over anybody else because I've got a guy that he owns and runs his own restaurant and he's in a different county. So then you got counties as issues too. Liquor can't be transferred between counties. So anything
What?
sent to Johnson County, anything sent to Tarrant County has to reside in that county. Anything in Dallas County has to reside in Dallas County. So
Really?
they can't ship between counties, which makes it hard too. So Dallas County gets a lot, Tarrant County gets a lot, Johnson not so much. So with Dallas County, we got guys that I have a friend that owns a restaurant and manages it. They switch all their wells over to stuff that they need to do in order to get allocated products. So Old Forester 100 is their well bourbon,
Oh,
and
that's such a
they'll
good word
do
now.
they'll
What is?
do like
Old Forester
$5
100.
Wednesday night fireball shots to help push Sazerac product, and they'll switch. Sometimes they'll switch their well over to Benchmark,
Yep.
just to get Sazerac product flowing or Wheatley vodka. They'll pick stuff just
Hmm.
for the sole fact that it'll sell through the bar as their house liquor. That'll boost sales. Those sales will give them allocations, and then their allocations, half of them they'll use for the bar itself, and then the other will be for personal. So all of it has to come in through the distributor to the store, but you don't have to designate everything from the store to the restaurant because as soon as you designate it to the restaurant, it has to have a TABC sticker. If it doesn't have that TABC sticker, that's saying, hey, this is a licensed bar that they're going to be selling this bottle through a store, in this case, a restaurant. And the way that works is they don't actually pay taxes on the bottle when they purchase it. They get it at a cost, and that cost is normally very, very cheap. So, an example like a Weller 107 that we would see MSRP around, 59, 69 bucks, they're paying like 40 bucks for it. And that $40, they're not paying taxes on the bottle, they're paying on each ounce. So every 26 ounces, divide that out, they're paying taxes on the total price of the bottle they paid per pour. So with when it comes long story turnaround on allocations, do we see an issue here? Yes, we do, because you got big accounts, big spenders, relationship based that if it's not going to their restaurant or their hotel, it's going out the back door and it's going into their collections.
I would have never. I never knew that. This is great information.
And that's tequila too. It's not just bourbon. I know I'm the bourbon guy here, but I see it with allocated tequila because I've tried some pretty nice tequila. I've had quite a few other channels offer me samples, and I've been able to try some nice stuff, and I can see the chase behind it. And like you said, you haven't even seen a winter blend to pick one up for less than 500 this year. I've seen
Yeah.
them. I've seen them in stores, and they sold out immediately.
Oh yeah. That's exactly, now if I was able to find it for that price, that would be awesome. $199
Well,
would be beautiful.
I know I've heard stories of store owners, you know, who are getting these allocations, and they'll only put, let's say they get a, typically it's something allocated for tequila, it's a case of 6 a lot of times I've noticed. So let's say they get 2 cases, they get 12 bottles. They'll put like 4 bottles out, okay, and then the rest end up on secondary, which is actually illegal.
Correct.
Oh,
They'll lose
really?
their license. They'll lose their license if they get caught. But I know people are doing that. It's happening.
The same
No.
thing happens here. It's mainly the mom and pops owned by Indian families that I've noticed it the most. Matter of fact, I won't name the specific name because he's a well-known seller on nationals, but he posted up a picture and he had, I don't know, 30 cases of George T. Stagg, 20 cases. They're 3 bottles per case for the B-Tax, by the way.
Okay.
20 cases of WLW, like 15 cases of Eagle Rare 17, multiple cases of Pappy 15, 20s and 23s. I mean, you see the picture, it says like his living room floor, and it's just boxes and boxes and boxes
I've
of all
seen
these
those
highly
across
allocated
those.
B-Tax that are $1,000+ bottles on secondary.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I know where this guy got them from because this store just talked about and started raving and priding about this big shipment they just received, and not a single one actually was sold through the store.
wow.
So do you think then with the secondary markets being that high, is that something we as consumers can either A, regulate, B, drive down, or C, we should not be choosing to purchase that way.
Anytime money's involved, there will always be some kind of hustle. Someone that's going to be doing it for profit and gain and for business rather than pleasure and enjoyment. Because it sounds like you guys open and enjoy pretty much everything you got. And if you haven't opened it yet, you probably have a plan to open it. So that's the main thing. You got other guys are doing it just for the money. So if there's money to be made, I think secondary will always be a thing. I don't think you as one individual, I don't think us as four individuals not engaging in the secondary market, it's not going to shut it down. Even if you got even if you got thousands of people to say we're never buying on secondary, there's an ease. Instead of spending 37,000, what if you only bought on secondary? You never spent a single dollar in a store. You never helped build a business relationship with the store, and you just bought what you liked and what you know you want on secondary. How much money do you think you would have spent then? How much money do you think you would have saved? Because if you do the breakdown, it's actually cheaper to buy on secondary. I did the math just with specs. I spent $9,000 last year, and I could have bought the entire BTAC lineup at full secondary and had money left over.
Okay, let's address that then. Buying secondary. I have found that. So I guess I was burned one time, and so from then on, I have never bought anything ever again from secondary because somebody screwed me out of $300. And I never tried again. And I've had people, oh no, I agree, I'll ship. You know, what's your address? Here's what the cost would be. And it's it's a great fee. But then I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't know this person. I'm gonna get screwed out of this money again. And so I've never done it. And that's where I've only bought through the regular channels of of reputable, places like Remedy or Sip Tequila or Serve Neat is another one. I just got some great. Keg and Barrel, I've bought some stuff from them as well. But I've been afraid now of the secondary market for that. What about you, Brad? What do you find? Have you ever purchased anything from secondary market?
I have never purchased from secondary. So I'm like this weird person, right? I've never purchased from secondary. I've never bought anything online. However, there's a caveat to that. I have friends that I've met now all over the country. And we will literally get bottles for each other, ship each other bottles back and forth.
Well, that I've done, yes.
As a swap. And that has helped me, and I think helps them a lot because there's just certain things
that you can't get in other states.
Right.
I love it. It's great.
And I do a lot of that. My wife, she's like, why do you look like you're running a drug shipment company out here all the time?
Yep.
I'm like, well, but and the UPS people know me, and so
trust me, my UPS guy, he's like, you got more tequila, didn't you? That's actually how I got this my winter blend 2019. I traded a friend in Illinois, in Chicago specifically. I had an extra bottle of 11 bricks, which I'm regretting now because I've only got this much left
of that one.
I got this one from Arizona, from a store in Arizona where I had a friend that lived literally a couple blocks away from, I think it's called Topps Liquor. I think that's them. Yeah, Topps Liquor. I bought it there, and he ran down the street, picked it up for me, and I sent him a UPS label that he shipped it back to me.
Yep. But that's how I've avoided it. So now there are a few things that I very specifically keep an eye out for that I probably will overpay for if I find it and it's what I want. There's maybe like three things.
What? Tell me the three. Tell me the three that you're looking for. You don't have to tell the prices, but the three.
The biggest one I look for is, and I had it in my hands once and I kicked myself for it, but it's the Patron Guillermo del Toro set. And I don't know if you know what this is. It's literally a skeleton and the head's a skull, and the skull has an orange liqueur in it, and it folds out. There's candles and glasses. It's like a whole big to-do.
Oh.
And it used to retail.
Cool.
Look it up. It's pretty incredible. But I've had it by hand on a rare version because in certain states they can't legally sell the candles.
Oh wow!
Which turn into glasses. So I had my hand on like a limited set that didn't have that cutout for it in the packaging. Instead, had more like of a design.
Okay.
But so I keep my eyes open for either one of those.
Okay.
The third thing, I don't. It's not. I look for rarities. I have an old set of some very old. What here? Oro Azules,
Oh, I've
and
seen some of those.
these were made at 1079. Okay. Um, and I'm missing one bottle,
I think
and I
I
need.
saw that. Actually, I just saw the set, and I was in Tijuana over the New Year's. That's why I flew into Fort Worth. That was on my way home. But in Tijuana, they had a store that had a whole bunch of, like really cool bottles and stuff. That was crazy. But that's where I saw them. I also picked up some of the Reserva de Gonzalez, the family Reserva family Gonzalez. If you have a chance, it's some good tequila. RJ, what's your top three that you're looking for?
Well, it's funny because if I want it, I just get it.
Ah,
Because you guys talk about being scared of secondary. I'm the opposite. I actually run a national secondary trade group.
okay.
So I've got guys all the way from California to New York to Florida. So if it's on the list, you're looking for it, even if it's tequila, I'm pretty sure we can track one down and
Okay,
and
well,
get
I'll
it
have
at,
to
at,
talk to you
at
later.
cost as well. Because we do some that people do for profit. Obviously, people are looking for money, and then some we do at
Right.
cost. So that's a favor to somebody else that can't find it in their state.
Right.
So
Well, then
um,
let's talk about this. Are there any bottles that you are still even secondary or at the store, or is there still that you're just looking for those
right now, it's
three
just new
bottles?
releases. Like the newest release of Jack Daniels should be coming out this month. Of Jack Daniels 14 year. It's a full proof expression. Should be 125 proof.
Mhm.
MSRP on that bad boy is probably going to be around, if I had to guess, 125, 140
Okay.
bucks. Nothing too crazy. That's probably on my top list for a new release coming out this year. Other than that, I mean, if I like I said, if I want it, I just go get it. I don't necessarily care anymore about the hunts. We talk about waiting in line, how I camped out overnight. That was a whole ordeal.
I can't believe you
I
did
don't I
that.
don't do that. That was the only time I've ever camped out overnight for a bottle of liquor. And as a matter of fact, I have the receipt. It was 14 bottles of liquor and it totaled to $1,292. So I mean I got my money's worth on that one. But
Yeah.
I would rather pay someone else the extra money for their time rather than use my own time to do that.
And that's fair. That's fair. I mean, you got a new baby you got to take care of.
Got
Come
two.
on.
Now I can't go bourbon hunting. I used to take my first son with me to go bourbon hunting. He was well known in the bourbon community.
Awesome. Awesome.
And
Well,
and the one thing that benefits me as well is I travel a bit for work,
That
okay.
does help. Yeah,
so
for
that
sure.
so that enables me opportunities as well, right? So that provides me extra opportunities.
And we try to do that on our channel where we try to go into the store. So like heck, we were in Costa Maya. Was it? Yeah, we
Yep.
did it in Costa Maya. We did that in Rotan as well. What can you buy there? What's available? Is there anything decent at those places? And we've gone into the stores and we checked it out, and
And it's the locals, not the
yeah,
tourist stuff, because there's
yeah,
always tourists versus what you can
Yeah, tourist,
actually.
it's always jacked up and it's the same stuff, and most of the
oh
stuff is the
my
same
god.
crap you can buy over here in the States. And
Oh yeah, Playa de Carmen. We were there a couple weeks back when we did our cruise, and they're like, "Yeah, I got a Fortaleza. Come on, come on, come on." And I'm like, "Okay, great. How much you want?" $700 American. I'm like, "What?"
what
Like,
is wrong with people?
dude, I can buy that for $100, and then that's not the regular price, but I can order it online and it'll be shipped to my house for $100. And, oh no, you can't. Yes, I can. But that was that. The one other thing I wanted to touch on is, or make a comment on, is the sheer marketing of it. And that kind of plays into the fear of missing out. But marketing 101, I get that. You get certain allocations. You get a mom and pop store, they literally only get one bottle, for the whole community. And I get that they're not going to sell it at the regular price because they have a chance to make that extra $500 on that. And I get it. I don't blame them. And I of course I wish that they would be a little more reasonable, but I understand that. And I wanted to make
Depends
that
on your
comment.
stores too, though. I have a mom and pop that's veteran owns, and he does great. His name's I'm trying to blank on his name. He'll kill me if I butcher his name, but Juno's Liquor Store, and his name's Steven. They do an allocation drawing last Saturday of the month. That lot B right there and that old Rip 10, if he had got both of those as part of his allocation for the month, those are MSRP bottles, and it's first come first serve. You walk in, you get a ticket, write your name on it. When they call that ticket up, that person gets to pick whatever bottle he has allocated for that month, and they pay MSRP for it, and they walk out of the store with just that one bottle. They didn't have to buy anything else. They can buy that one allocated bottle and walk right out at MSRP. Now, that attracts obviously a crowd, especially when you start talking about social media presence, posting pictures of what he has for the month for the allocation drawing. But he's not charging, $900 to $1,000 for that bottle, because someone could just walk in and see it. And it's like, am I walking into a store or am I walking into a museum? Like, what's the deal here?
Right.
Right. Have either of you dealt with? I've seen a lot of folks, and there's and some well-known content creators are also lending their voice to some of these raffle, um, like bourbons and tequila raffles, where they're raising money, but they're also raffling it out. Have you ever experienced any of those? And what's your
I've
thoughts
seen
on that?
raffles as well. We got one called Mirage Spirits. You can walk in and buy X amount of dollars worth of bottles or product from their store, and you get a ticket for each amount of dollar that you spend. You buy a store pick, you get extra tickets. So you're helping them get their store picks moved through their store, or the regular product, whatever it is, you get tickets. The problem I have with that is let's say the bottles that you have on your table right now are the only bottles for raffle. There's no cap. I mean, people can go in there because they see an old Rip 10 and a lot B and spend thousands of dollars between, 100, 200, 400 customers. And it's like, now it's even worse than if you just sold that lot B for $1,000, because they probably brought in $5 or $6,000 in extra liquor sales for the chance that someone could buy that bottle. So they have their ups and downs. I get why people do it. I do like the raffle system, but I feel like they got to cap it. I don't think they should just let people spend all this money
So,
and continue to water down their percent chance of winning
so
just to maximize profits.
you would probably, like, we do this, we like going to the Whitetails event here in a neighborhood that we go to, where they raffle off guns, right? But they have a cap. You can only buy so many tickets to win this specific gun. You know what I mean? And is that what you were referring to? Like, okay, great, we got.
Well, if this phone is what we're auctioning off, and it's $1,000 phone, you should only be able to take up to $1,000 worth of sales for said phone to
Okay,
auction off.
okay,
That's total. That's not you spending 1,000, me spending 1,000. No, 1,000 total, just to kind of keep that bottle within range, or that phone within range, or whatever you're auctioning off. Because
okay.
if I say there's a lot B, I know quite a few people that go through $200 at it, and you get more than 10, 20, 30 people throwing $200 at it. How much of that bottle just make them? Like, I don't feel like that's reasonable for someone to, as a store owner, to feel confident in their sales, taking that much money from people just to give someone a chance to buy that bottle.
Right. What about you, Brad? Have you seen any of these, or
I've seen raffles, especially recently with like the fires in LA,
that's
Uh,
why I brought it up.
I don't ever, I donate, we donate directly to stuff. I never involve myself in the raffles. There's no paper trail. It's not that I'm down talking to anybody or anything. It's not like that. I am personally, I would rather, directly give my money to someone versus, I don't need to win a bottle. I don't need, to me, I just would rather give my money directly there. I know it went there, and I know that's where it went to. I can't, I'm not saying anybody's doing it, but I can't verify anybody's taking what I donate or in a raffle and putting it all to what they say they are. I have no proof of that.
True.
I just want to know that so I've always done it. And anytime there's like a charity or something, we always try to give directly. That's just something we've always done though.
Well,
That's
that's the
fair.
same concept with the companies that say, "Oh, it's 22 cents," and you're like, "Oh, would you like to round up to the nearest dollar to support this organization?" I always tell them no, and I've explained to some of the employees why I say no. I'm like, I understand that you're told to say this every time, but as a business, they want you to do that, because every time you round up or every time you donate towards this charity, the company, if they do actually donate that money, they're writing that off as their expense, as their donation to charity, instead of you donating yourself, like you said, Brad.
Yeah.
And if you choose to claim it on your taxes, some people don't claim charitable donations. It's strictly charity. Some people do donate to claim. If they were doing a lottery and a raffle for some of these bottles, who's to say that they're not, taking in $50,000, $60,000, donating as a charitable donation, and using that as a tax write-off is on top of that. That's another integrity and morals and ethics dilemma there.
I have purchased bottles that are, they're not overpriced, but reasonably priced, but they have a donation factor behind it. For instance, I got the Mission 1530 Fortaleza from Sip Tequila at normal price, not secondary. So they're part of their portions. And same thing with Valor. All of their products from Valor or Alma de Jaguar, there is a portion of their profits that they donate. Alma de Jaguar goes to the Jaguar Foundation.
Yep.
Valor goes to the
But
community.
I think you're talking
It's a different
heads
situation.
and tails. Yeah.
No, I'm just playing off of the.
I've got an Old Forester Blue Label single barrel pick, and 30% of the money that went towards that bottle costs, it was actually donated to a charity that their strict goal is to get military members back home if they don't have the ability to travel for whatever reason.
Which one is that?
Old Forester.
I'll have to go get the charity from my buddy TJ. Just get with me on Discord, and I'll get that charity for you. But that was one of their main things, was making sure people could get back home. And 30%, I was like, hell yeah, I'll buy a single barrel pick of that.
That's the spin-off of the raffle type thing.
And that's one of the charity things where I don't mind throwing money at it, because it's a bottle that I know I'm gonna want and I'm gonna like anyways. And if it's gonna support somebody else, and assuming, Brad, that they do donate that money and it actually goes to its cause, which I would hope they would if they're gonna advertise it the way they do.
Well, yeah. And I'm not saying I don't trust people. It's just I'd rather just, for me personally, I've always rather.
You don't have to trust them if you do it yourself.
That's right. That's right.
Cut the middleman out.
Kind of the last part that I wanted to touch on was the distillery, and you kind of touched on it, RJ, a little bit, kind of like the distillery's idea of how much they really wanted to go for versus what the distributor wanted to go for, and then when it really shows up on the market.
That's why I got the Laguna Madre out.
That's right.
Well, for me, I have a little liquor store down the road from me. It's privately owned. Doesn't have a huge tequila selection. He's mostly wine and bourbons, okay? But if I go in there, he'll usually get me whatever I want anytime, if there's limited releases. He can do it. But because he's small, and this is actually not legal either, they make him pay more for it. You know what I mean? Which is illegal here in Illinois. I assume it's illegal federally. So then I end up having to pay a little bit more, because he always marks the bottles up just a few dollars more, and then when he has to pay more. But I don't mind going in there and supporting his small business when I know he's going to take care of me when I really need something. To me, that's building relationships with some of the smaller stores is really good. I've built some great relationships with small stores, and they take really good care of me, and I always try to support them the best I can.
Right. We do that with our local stores and our restaurants.
Sorry, a little off basis, but I just wanted to say
it's kind of the same thing.
I like to support local. I support local all day, every day. I think that even though I have to pay more, I've got two mom and pops that I do pay $5 to $15 more for a bottle, and I could buy it, 2 minutes down the road for $5-10 less. But it's out of principle on why I buy certain things from them.
Right, but that's not out of line.
Is the stout beers, Goose Island stout beers. My mom and pop didn't take this year's because they didn't sell out of 23s. So I walked in there right before Christmas and I said, "Hey, did you get my text message?" She's like, I did. She's like, "I just read it though, and I haven't had a chance to run it by the owner." But she's like, "Let's go ahead and do it." And what I did was I offered to purchase every single bottle of Goose Island stout beer that they had on their shelf to clear them completely out of inventory, because I'm like, I understand how important shelf space is as a liquor store and making room for new product. And if you don't have a place to put it, how it's hard to get new stuff in to sell. So I said, sell me every bottle. I would prefer it at a discount. I said, I'm also going to be giving these bottles away to people around for Christmas. So I've already given out several bottles, but I'm like, let me buy them all. So instead of $13.99 a beer, I paid $11.99 a beer. So I saved $2 a beer. And
There you
I
go.
bought every last one of them, and that also helps build that relationship to where, like you said, you want to get taken care of when they get something good in. I hope that they remember me. It doesn't mean I have to get taken care of, but I hope they
No.
remember me. So,
That does
But
feel
so I
good
always find it good to have that
when
relationship.
recognized.
Yeah,
and it only cost me like $160. Like they didn't have that many beers left anyway, so it's like out of principle, it's like it's not like I'm dropping $1,000.
Right.
and I do that quite regularly with the one, that I like to visit. It's always when we're looking for something, I'm like, what do you got? What's new? And she's like, oh, I got this one for you. You got to try this. I can't keep it on the shelf. And so that's that fantastic relationship that you're talking about that we have. When I walk in, she's like, okay, what are you looking for today? Because she knows I'm looking for something.
Ask the backwards question next time. Go in there and say, hey, what's been sitting on your shelf that you've never sold, like in the last 5 years that you can remember? What's been sitting that you only have one or two of?
Okay.
And then go in there and buy that one or two of, and then you're going to
Yep,
clear out shelf
that
space
works
for them.
sometimes.
And now you get something new that you get to try that you never had before. And they're like, why would you ask for something that never sells? Because clearly there's a reason why it doesn't sell, right? And it's like, maybe not. Maybe it just isn't in the right spot in the store. Maybe it's not priced right, or maybe it doesn't get eyes on it. Who knows? So I've done that too, where I'm like, hey, what's the oldest, dustiest thing that's been sitting in your store that just doesn't move?
That's
I've done that too.
one.
I've done that too. It works. It works sometimes.
Awesome.
Because everyone goes in there looking for the new stuff.
Yeah. What are you going to tell us about that Garrison?
So these guys are out of High, Texas, and you talked about not gouging and bashing a company. I have a little bit of smoke to throw at these guys, and it's the same smoke everybody throws at them. They make great products. They do. But all their product is super expensive. This is their most prized possession, most limited release. It's only 101 proof, and this bottle MSRP's at $350. And it's nothing so fancy or special that it should be worth $350. It's probably a $200 bottle, but because it's aged 8 years in Texas and the woods that they use are very expensive, they charge these premium rates. So when you talk about MSRP at $350, it's also Texas whiskey, so it's not any of these Michter's or Buffalo Trace products. The question becomes, how much more can it be worth on secondary?
So my question is, being a tequila guy who I used to drink bourbon years ago, but I never got heavily into it. Is there a big difference between Texas whiskey quality and
the flavor quality, that high heat? So we normally have 30 consecutive days above 100 degrees in Texas, so you get rapid aging. That heat and that expansion definitely changes the profile, and it gives it what we like to call the Texas funk. It's normally a heavy wood, oaky leather tones that come through. Sometimes you get coffee and chocolate, but you'll get this heavy wood tone that normally comes through with that rapid aging. People don't necessarily look for it. It's not something that's very desirable. It's a smaller group of people that enjoy it. And then you hear $350 and you're like, well, how many people are even willing to pay that to try it? And the answer is normally not very many at all. I mean, their cheapest bottle is an $80 bottle, and it's not even worth $80. It's like a $40 bottle.
Well, they're definitely flashy because when we go into the liquor store, they have some kind of display of it, and it's like, ooh, that looks so cool. I need to try it, type thing.
But this $350 bottle, when it first comes out, people ask $450, $500 for it. If it's a super old one, they might ask that price for it. Then they sit on them for a long time, like I have. This is my second bottle. I've already drank one of them. And I drank the whole bottle.
It's horrible. It's too much money. I've got my second bottle.
But $350 though. And I'm like, you can't even get rid of it at $350 now. And it's like, no one's willing to move them to take a loss, because I'm like, if I can't sell that bottle at $350 to get my money back, I would be the one that just holds it and opens it and drinks it and enjoys it, because it is that good, in my opinion. Not $350 good, but it is that good that I would open it and drink it. So the secondary value on some of this stuff, and I'm sure tequila is the same way. I mean, I do have a Fortaleza bottle. These used to go for about $100. Now they're like $90 for the Blanco on secondary.
Yep.
They're like $65 bottles. I mean, there's really not a huge margin on them. I don't think the flavor profile, at least on the Fortaleza Blanco, was any good. I tried it alongside Yayo and Mi Gente for the three Blancos. And
we're singing our tunes.
The Mi Gente, we completely bottle killed the Mi Gente. Like, we thought that was the smoothest, that was the jam. The
We
Yayo, I was actually like, not really. It was good. I thought it was better than Fortaleza, but the Fortaleza just for the Blanco, obviously.
No, you're fine.
I'm a bourbon drinker, so this doesn't rhythm with me. I like the extra anejo. You start getting up in the higher age,
Well, that's
5 and
because you like
7
that
years
influence,
of
that barrel
tequila.
influence
That's
there.
where I start liking that stuff.
So, here's what go ahead.
Oh, I get slaughtered all the time because I don't keep Fortaleza in my house, and I have it readily available to me all day, every day. And it just doesn't make any of my top profiles. Like when I tell people it doesn't make my top 5 or 10 and all of my, all the expressions, people are like, what? Like they're blown away by that. And I'm just like, it's just not there for me. And it's not that I hate the brand or
very
anything.
herbal. The flavor
it's just
profile
not
for
there
me
for
just
me.
doesn't do it. It's not
So
exciting.
he is a fanboy of Fortaleza. Him and I argue about it all the time.
I get it.
It doesn't do it for me. It just isn't there.
It's not available here. Let's start with that. It's not really available here. It's very few and far in between. When it gets distributed here, it's normally twice a year. Like I said, I got a guy in California. I can get it pretty regularly if I want it shipped in, but it's not something I find myself going to in the first place. I have dabbled in some of the tequilas. I find that some of the extra añejo stuff, example Patron extra añejo, out of anything, it's like a $80 bottles is probably one of the better, cheaper, more affordable, readily available bottles I can find in my area that carries that higher age statement.
Now, if I may offer ideas for a bourbon guy to have some tequila, here are a couple that I would recommend as me, Chris. I would recommend going, of course, with Tears of La Rona. That one
I didn't care for it. I like the
that's an expensive bottle right there. That's over $300 nowadays. But
I like the Don Fulano a little bit better, I think. Than the Tears.
Yes, Don Fulano.
Don Fulano. Oh, the Rebel.
I think I like that one better than the Tears. The Tears just when I really wanted Tears because I heard so many good things about it. I finally got a sample of it and I tried it. I see them for $300 here. I know some guys that get them for about $240, $250. Even then, I'm just like, I couldn't do it. I just after trying it, I'm like, it is not $240, $250 good.
If you like Don Fulano, then you'll like Arte Nam 1146.
Oh,
and the 1146, that was another one I had tried. Apparently, they're from the same distillery.
Same distillery, same master
the
distillery.
only difference I think they aged the Tears in cognac. Is that the difference?
The barrels are a little bit different.
A little bit different barrel finish is all. I think that was the difference on them. So, and the price is a fraction.
Yes.
Now, price lowered, but really good flavor, and from the same master distiller as Mijenta, Corrido Regular Añejo. It's agave sweet forward, and it's got a beautiful, well-bodied taste to it. Slight pepper, but those caramels and vanillas on the front just come really, really pleasant on the palate.
Mi Campo Repo was actually like one of the cheapest budget tequilas that I was able to like get into, and was like, this is actually not that bad if you wanted something to sip and you didn't want to pay any kind of money for it.
Now give me some good recommendations. That's something that we should probably make sure we have on our channel to try one of these days. Give me a good bourbon if you wouldn't mind.
A good bourbon? How about I do you one better and I send you a care package, a sample pack, so you can try.
Never say no.
So you can try a bunch, and then we can go across and talk about what all we have, because I'm a huge Old Forester fan. I'm a big Buffalo Trace fan.
I actually really like Old Forester 1910 and 1920. Is that the brand that does the 1910 and 20, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I really like those. I have samples of.
I like the barrel strength bourbon. So the blue labels, a lot of people complain that they're too hot. Some of them are. Some of them are very high oak profile. Some of them are more sweet. I like more cherry forward, more fruit forward, that sweeter tone to them. So even though you're drinking 128 proof whiskey, if you have to proof it down, use some ice, whatever you got to do, or add a little bit of water, or let it dilute in your mouth.
Someone gave me something rested in applewood, or it was applewood bourbon rested, but it was amazing. It was like 128 proof. I can't remember what it was, but it was amazing. I wish I would have kept the bottle that it was wrote on, but it was really good.
That Jack Daniels one,
rye.
That rye. Oh God, that was so offensive. But he
loved it. It's so good. That Jack Daniels rye.
Was it a barrel proof rye?
Yes.
Yes, it was. She's a little hot. I'll tell you that.
Do you like honey, Chris?
Yes, I do.
I have a honey project from my buddy Bourbon Hall where he finished a Jack Daniel's barrel proof rye in honey.
Oh, really? Where's that little bugger at?
Yes.
Oh, of course, when you try to find it, right. Oh, right here. Right here. Right here. That one.
See?
Yep. I got a barrel proof rye that my buddy finished in honey. So this was his honey
Okay.
project.
Okay.
He called it Jacked Up.
And see, and I love this one. Once you like put it in the glass and give it a couple minutes, like the flavors that come out of it are unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was so harsh for me at first. I mean, eventually
it still
I got
is. You still want it.
Guys, I want to say thank you. I just wanted to have some friends talking about what we love to talk about. I mean, at least I do. Spirits, and I thought that pricing and aftermarket and of course my own problems of fear of missing out, which is a real issue with me. Trust me. You ask my spouse, I've got problems.
You're not the only one though. There's a lot of people out there like that.
Yes. So I
My
wanted
goal is to spend less than I did last year.
You did not.
I probably did not last year, but the year before, again, from our family to your families, we really appreciate you coming on and having a conversation with us. We got to do this again. I would love to do this again and share with everybody else. Any parting comments that you both would like to make?
I was really appreciative just to be on the channel. I didn't realize that you guys had a channel, and then I get this random Discord message, and we don't have any servers in common, so I have to accept you as a friend to even talk to you. And I'm like, who is this person?
Right.
I don't normally accept friend requests without having a mutual server. Then
Major Zero said to make sure I get a hold of you. He said, "This is the guy. He loves this kind of stuff." And Brad, you were on with us one time before.
Yep.
I had a great time when we were on with that project from from a guy, a girl, and a trail. That was really fun too.
That was fun.
But,
no, I appreciate you guys having me on too and thinking about me, because I don't do a lot of like talking or anything like this, so it's always fun when someone invites me somewhere.
I enjoy it.
And we absolutely do. We are always busy. We're always doing something different. But we like to kind of ground when we can with those in the community, the influencers that help us create new content and give us ideas, because we all play off of one another as to what we're looking to do. And so it's fantastic when we can sit down and be a community and really open up the Sip, Savor, Celebrate family to your guys' crowd, and hopefully they think that we have a thing or two to say and become part of the family.
There you go. Well,
collaboration rather than competition.
Actually,
that's right. Well, before I go, I want to make sure everybody goes ahead and follow RJ the Fed on YouTube. And the spouse just got home. We our dog right here. And then make sure you get over to Brad's channel, Agave Love and Lore. But guys, thank you again. We appreciate you, and always remember to savor and celebrate. Salud.
Salute.